everyone. Welcome to A New View. I'm Kim, and I'm here with Shira, Juji, and Lee. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. When we have guests on our show, we ask each of them, what's the best compliment you've ever received? We've been so moved by their answers that we decided that we'd ask that question of ourselves. So ladies, what is the best compliment you have ever received?
So I want to go first because the best compliment I ever received was actually from you, Kim.
Oh my
God. But it wasn't like a direct compliment, like, oh, I like your hair, which you always do. So thank you. It's my thing. But I remember this so distinctly because it was such an amazing feeling. I had just met you and we just started talking about what the love group was and what you looked for in the motivational speakers that you hired to be a part of your organization. And we had like briefly talked about this idea of me helping you with your social media stuff. And I had gone to like a talk or something that my friend had invited me to. And this woman, I don't even remember what she was talking about, but she was very charming and really sweet. And the subject that she was talking about was really like aligned with what you had described to me the love group was. And so I feel like I text you or emailed you or something about this woman, and you left me a voicemail, and I'll never forget it because you said in your voicemail, hey, Juji, like, I really appreciate that you are so passionate about helping me with the love group. And I really just don't have any space to take on any more speakers at the moment, unless that speaker is you. And I'd really love you to create a workshop for us and feature you on our site. And I'm getting emotional about it because I just in that moment was like, somebody not in my family thinks that what I have to say is valuable and like needs to be heard by other people. And I think that most of why you had that trust in me is not just because of our interaction, but because you had seen me get up at Landmark where we met and share about my life and my experience. And I actually really loved being up there, and I really loved talking about what I had experienced and how I had grown from those experiences. So for somebody to give me that opportunity was just such a huge, huge, huge compliment. And what's unfolded for me since then has just completely like 180'd my life, because like, for instance, today a podcast is airing that I was a guest on because somebody wanted to hear what I had to say about human design. And like, that's not something I ever thought was going to be available to me. And you opened that door. So I'm forever, forever, forever grateful for that door opening.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
I just want to make sure you cry every episode. So
because I'm the crier, although Shira, you're the crier too.
I'm the town crier.
Oh,
Town crier. That was beautiful, Jude.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy that I could like have an impact on you, that like that.
Yeah, actually, Kim, I mean, I think you've given all of us compliments, and I'm sure I can, dig one up. But I have a different one to share today. The one type of compliment that I think has been most profound for me is, so I'm a 3-time breast cancer survivor, and being diagnosed first time when I was 32, and then when I was 41, and then again when I was whatever. It was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Is a lot. Seriously, this is so not part of my life anymore. It's not me. It's not a part of me. It's not who I identify with, but I did in the years prior to. And they were very difficult years in terms of the heaviness of it and the fear and all of that. And I always was afraid to in the beginning to talk about it, to be a part of it, to go to any support groups on it. I didn't want it. I didn't feel like I needed it. But years later, about 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, no, about 5, 6 years ago, I started to work for an organization, a nonprofit organization called the Moorer Foundation. And it was such a great little connection for me, because what I did was I became a breast health educator. And I would go to high schools all over the tri-state area, New York City, Queens, all over Long Island, Nassau County, Suffolk County. And I would educate high schoolers, males and females, about the risk factors, about what to look for, about eating habits and nutrition and all of that. But we would kind of focus in on, what it is to look for in terms of being healthy, becoming healthy. And there were a couple of schools that, after doing this for a couple of years, that there were a couple of schools that used to ask the classes to write some feedback sheets. And we did an episode on feedback, but this was awesome feedback. I have so many letters and sheets of children, and they're 17 and 18, that would write to me and tell me about how inspiring it would be for me to be in their class. How, by just being there for 40 minutes, that for them, it had them thinking so much more about their own health and what to look out for, and how, and in some cases I shared my story with these students, and in some I just didn't. It depended on the vibe and what I felt like doing. But many students who have heard my story were very inspired, but they said that I was very strong and that my strength showed. And where this is a very scary thing for like a teenager to think about, cancer, disease, any kind of health condition, of course. And someone even approached me afterwards saying, my grandmother has it, or my mom has it now, and what should I do? And there was nothing like getting the thanks and the gratitude of the information and the nuggets that I left with these students, than getting it from there, from anywhere else. I've been kind of like soundboard for certain people who are diagnosed. I have a lot of friends who over the years have had their friends call me, like, I know somebody who's diagnosed, can they call you? Can they, I'm like, I'm happy to share whatever I can. I don't have all the answers, but, this is one of those things where my obstacle, my adversity, turned into not just a blessing, but this is some way that I can pay it forward. And it all started to make a lot of sense in such a way that, like, this was almost a calling for me. There was a reason, and I'm not saying it's just to go and educate kids, but there were many blessings that came out of that, I have to say. And again, it's really something that I even forget about. Because I don't identify as a cancer survivor. It's so not me, but it was, and it is. And that's probably the best compliment, is that these kids saw strength in me that I didn't recognize until it reflected possibly in the classrooms.
Love that, Lee. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
I just want to say something before you share, Shira. In listening to both Juji's and Lee's, I really believe that we have messengers that come to us in this life, and they look totally different in every situation or circumstance, but like a lot of times it's like give us validation that maybe we're on the right track, you know, helping us help others. Other times it's maybe to almost give us permission to feel a certain way that maybe we won't allow ourselves to feel, or like whatever it is. But I think when people share compliments on our show, like our guests who have really moved us and shared their compliments, it's just, they're such profound compliments that to me, it's like, those are messengers, like, you know, giving them that feedback through the compliment, you know, that they're like doing what they should be doing, or whatever it is. It's just, it's so beautiful. And I love what you ladies have shared, because it's, you use the term, Juji, open the door. And I love that it's like an analogy for so many things. Open the door to feel, open the door to help others, open the door to whatever, you know?
Live your
To
purpose.
find our purpose.
Yeah.
Jinx. Mine's kind of an interesting story. You all know that I love writing songs, and my name is Shira, which means song in Hebrew. Thanks, Mom. So about 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, I had written a song called A Way Will Be Shown. And I wrote it, you know, the genesis of the song is kind of interesting. We're not going to go into that right now, but a friend of mine was going through a very, very difficult time. And we were in my car, and she was telling me about, leaving her marriage. And this was before I left mine. She was telling me about leaving her marriage and that she's stuck and she doesn't know what to do. And something inside me said, you should. I had just finished recording the song. I was like, I want to play you something. And I put it in the car, and I'm just like looking ahead when I'm playing the song, and I look over, and she is hysterically crying, like beyond console. And she just sort of like collapsed on me, and just we hugged for a really long time. And she was like, I needed to hear that song. I need hope. I need hope because I don't know what to do. And the song is about hope. I mean, it really is. So to me, that, like, when I always joke and say, I love songs that make people cry, but I do. I love making people feel through my music, whether it's joy or sadness or just something authentic, or having an aha moment. Like, to me, music is such a catalyst for that. And so that made me feel really good. And the PS to the story is that a year later, I would end up leaving my marriage and having like a massive fall apart, holy shit, I don't know what's happening in my life kind of moment. And I remember playing that song for myself. And I realized at the time that I wrote it for the future me. And there were a few songs I wrote during that time frame that when I listen to them again, I'm like, oh my God, I wrote that for myself in the future. Thank you. So it's almost like a double compliment. It was like my friend who was falling apart saying thank you for writing that song because it helped me so much. And then almost me thanking myself, going, and sometimes I write songs, I don't even know where it comes from. This was one of those songs where it's just like, it just came to me. Like the lyrics, all of it just came to me. And so, yeah, I'm just really grateful to music. It's a salvation of sorts, and an outlet. So that's my story.
I heard your song and I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
There's nothing like a compliment where someone cries.
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
In a good way, of course. We don't want them crying like, I hate your guts. We don't want that.
Yeah. What about you, Kim?
So I have such butterflies in my stomach right now to share what I'm going to share. And I think I have butterflies because I haven't talked about it in so long, in 20 years. So I'll just get into it. But I never even thought about this. And then we talked about this episode and what we were going to share. And I have to tell you, I was like racking my brain because I'm thinking of all the workshops I've done and all the feedback forms. I'm like, should I look through those and see if somebody said something that really, touched me? Or I'm thinking of you girls and things you've said to me. And all the people in my life, and nothing was like, yes, hell yes. And then Shira, like you were saying, like the inspiration just comes, like I felt like I got a download from somewhere. And this popped in my head and I was like, that was not a coincidence. Because as soon as I thought of it, I was like, that is by far the best compliment I've ever gotten. So I'll just preface it by saying that when I was 25, I was working in television and it was my very first job, real job, in TV. And I experienced harassment, me and a lot of other young girls. And I complained to HR and it got worse. And then I got let go. And I knew it was really wrong. And I didn't know what to do. I was young, insecure, naive, all the things. So my sister, thank God for her, helped me. And she knew it was wrong too. She would coach me a little. She's a few years older than me. She would not coach me. She would support me. She was really the only one who was able to really do that at that time. And I went to the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and they were like, this is a case, like hands down. And then all the other young girls that I worked with hopped on board. So next thing you know, at 25 years old, I was spearheading a civil action lawsuit against a pretty big company. And it's funny because I never in my life, I don't know if I thought I maybe shared that with, I don't even talk about it. It's as if it never happened. And I really think I blocked it out because it was so painful. 3 years of my life, it was just painful and scary as hell. And I'm not allowed to talk about it, in detail. So, because I signed a contractual agreement, so I'm not going to say who they are or anything. But the lawyer I had, this man from the EEOC, was who I spent a lot of time with over those 3 years. And, we had depositions and like, just you name it. So painful time, completely just sort of put it away. And then fast forward to about 6 months ago. No, about a year. It was like pre-COVID. So like a year ago or so. It was a year and a half ago because we were actually we were planning our very first fundraiser for the Love Group. And just to preface it, for anyone who doesn't know the Love Group, it was a speaking agency for young girls to teach them self-love. So we were planning the fundraiser, and somehow this lawyer, after 20 years, found me on LinkedIn, and he messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, like I haven't talked to you in 20 years. How are you doing? Da, da, da. And I told him all about what I was doing with the Love Group. And we were going back and forth for a little while, just talking, whatever. He was actually going to try to make the fundraiser. But he wrote me some beautiful emails in LinkedIn that just had me sobbing like a baby and made me, I didn't even realize the connection between me creating the Love Group and wanting to teach young girls love and like what happened to me 20 years ago. Like I never made that connection ever. And I never, ever, ever till this day, well, until I got his email, really, never, ever looked at myself as strong, ever, never looked at myself as courageous. I was just a scaredy cat for years. And I really believe that's why I completely buried the whole thing, because I lived in like terror for years. So anyway, I'm going to read you just a piece of his email, one of his little piece of it. But this is the best compliment by far that I've ever received. I'm starting a little bit in the middle. Maybe something positive came out of your case. Clearly you and your group, the Love Group. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the Love Group. He was talking about the group of young girls. Clearly you and your group were way ahead of your time, challenging a powerhouse before the Me Too movement. I cite you as truly brave and courageous trendsetters who took it on. Hopefully you still know how truly gutsy that was and how we admire you for it, truly. All the truth, you probably don't quite have my same perspective thoughts on what occurred with Weinstein and the Me Too movement, and where you especially fit in. And truly, I mean it, on outstanding bravery and some real risk you took. 10 years early against very bad and very big people is probably bigger than you know. Part of me figured that such might play a real role, some factor in your work, though I can't really know how that translates for you. I just know it was very serious, and you all are to be admired and thanked by many. You may remember/recognize that the chief lawyer against you running the case was Trump's attorney regarding defending him from harassment. You were up against the worst, truly, and that strength should hopefully mean a lot to you. It's likely a bigger accomplishment than you know inside.
Wow. Wow, that's huge.
Man, that's so huge. I can't believe we don't know this. Wow.
Thank you for sharing that, Kim. And I applaud you. I mean, that's big.
Thank you.
Good for you, girl. Good for you.
It's just amazing how I got that email and I was like, how did I never look at myself as strong?
Yeah.
It just amazes me till this day. And when I was young, I didn't really have parents that told me that, I think they worried and instilled more fear in me, encouraging me not to go down that road out of fear more than anything. But I never heard gosh, you're so brave, or anything like that. My sister was really the only one who was giving me that love and everything. But just even years later, it's I'm saying it out loud and I'm like, and how did I not make that connection? So I kind of am feeling like this isn't over. Not to bring it up all the time or talk about it in detail, but just from my experiences, now I'm just sort of thinking maybe I have more to share, and maybe I have more ways of helping young girls in that same situation. I'm still a little baffled at how I didn't make that connection, and how little of the experience I gave myself credit for,
Yeah, we tend to do that. We tend to do that. I also just want to say on the heels, and sorry, Lee, I'm totally interrupting you, but the need for positive reinforcement, compliments, words of affirmation, all of that. It's so important that we do that for our children, for our students, right? See the good in them. Words are, like we said, words are so powerful. We need that. Yeah, we can say it to ourselves, and that's important too, to say good things to ourselves. But when you see a spark or a talent or some special part of a person, tell them.
Yeah, I think our generation and future generations have a little bit of a better grasp of doing that right now, whereas our parents, and I can also say, back with my parents, there was no real motivation, inspiration. They were just surviving and trying to do their best. But Kim, I agree with what you said, that it's not over. And the thing that I think is not over is that this will impact more people, even through this show alone. Someone watching this episode, or multiple people, may have the courage now to go out and do something about it if they're going through the same experience. And it's sharing our experiences like this that can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, I feel like everything we shared, all of us, anyone watching, just it brings up questioning and asking of yourself, and thinking of your own.
Always question. Don't ever stop questioning. This is.
I think that's such a great place to wrap it up. You guys agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, we are so blessed that you guys are watching. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as we did. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel, and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests, any questions. You can just comment below. We'll be seeing you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe, everyone.
Bye.